Hello and welcome to the fifth race of the Formula Sim Racing World Championship for 2020, brought to you by SimLab, 3D Wrap and IMB Racewear. We're here for the Azure Grand Prix, the first time we've been to this circuit since 2013. So it's been a while, but we've had two pretty good races in Academy and Pro earlier today. But we have 78 laps for the top tier in the official rFactor 2 Open Wheel Championship for 2020. Today I'm your commentator, Cameron Rodger, and joining me once again I've got Aidan Millward.
Hi there, Cam. Hi there, stream. Everybody watching at home, wherever you are. It's well, we've had our two starters, and now it's time for the main course in World Championship. So a great race is definitely on the cards for this evening. 78 laps around the Circuit d'Azur.
We've got two DRS zones on this track. We got one through the tunnel as well, which has proved to be a pretty good overtaking opportunity in the two races we've had earlier this afternoon as well. So look out for the chicane and also into turn number one for the overtakes on this 3.3 kilometer circuit. So it is easily the shortest track on the calendar, and because of that, the race distances are actually shorter. Normally it's 305 kilometers, but it's only 260 here today. And what are we driving? We're driving the 976 horsepower, 743 kilo FSR 2020 car. If you want to try it out yourself, you can get it on either the Steam Workshop or head to our forums and go to the resources section if you want to check that out. But they've got two engine boost modes for the turbo, and they will be getting that set right to the quali mode as we head into the qualifying session in a few moments' time. But what happened last time out? Jene Simoncic won the race fairly comfortably. He was just in a dominant performance a couple of weeks ago, followed by David Mrocek and also Alex Siebel, who got Evolution's first ever podium in the Formula Sim Racing World Championship. So it's good to see from them. And that meant because of Peter Berlak's DNF as well, and Quico not having the best race, means that Jene Simoncic has a 29-point lead in the championship. So he's looking really nice, but it is very close indeed behind him. So I'm sure we're going to see what is going to happen after this race, because we will be halfway through the season after this race, and then we'll get a nice clear picture of who is going to be contending as we head towards the second half of the season. And in the... Oh, sorry?
Oh, it's all right. I thought you'd finished, so carry on.
And
My fault.
In the team standings, we've got two burst cars, burst teams, I should say. They're leading the way fairly comfortably, but just behind them, there's this really big battle for third place. And that, I'm sure, is going to be very, very close here today, with Evolution and HM Red looking very strong. And always in Edge, you cannot discount Petar or Jim either. So yeah, we're heading to the qualifying session now. 10 minutes, 3 hot laps for these drivers, and we've already got the first ones coming in. We've got Jim Paresis into the 1 minute 6s, and just for reference, if you get anywhere into the 6s, maybe a low 1 minute 6, that is probably going to be good for the pole position here today, and maybe a low 1 minute 7 if you're not quite on the pace. So yeah, Paresis leading the way from Michi Hoyer at this moment.
Yeah, 0.2 of a second in it currently. I mean, it's still got 7 minutes left. Michi Hoyer's been pretty good at banging in a quick lap right at the death, as Erasmus Schulli has a bit of a waggle coming out of the back corner and then goes flying through the swimming pool section. But Craig Baxter's gone and put it on pole, which is a name that we haven't seen much of. But Michi and others have... where's Simoncic gone? Oh, he's down there. Okay. Yeah, I've just confused myself with all that. So yeah, Craig Baxter coming out of nowhere to stick in that wire 6.6 there.
Yeah, he's doing a reserve drive today for the ground effect car, because unfortunately Jos Araneda, his pedals broke basically, so ground effect needed a reserve. So Craig Baxter has jumped in that car. He had the fastest time on the practice server, which was open the last few weeks. So we now got Simoncic coming towards the line. What can he do? Where can he put it? And what a surprise on provisional pole position. This man is just absolutely on fire in the last year or so with open wheelers. He's at the top in every competition with an open wheel. So yeah, he is obviously one to look out for. He's got a massive gap. Jim Paresis in third is almost half a second off Simoncic.
It's crazy. The annoying thing is, though, he doesn't need that much practice either. He just jumps in and goes. So that's a level of talent we all wish we could have as Dennis Jordan for Evolution. I'm more used to seeing him in GT cars. And there's his teammate Alex Siebel.
Yeah, they had a very good race last time out. Dennis was gifted the 2 places when Hoyer and Queekle had a little spin on the final lap. So I believe he got 5th and Alex got 3rd. So they were looking very good. They are new to FSR this year. I believe both of them, this is actually their first races. I don't think they've even done reserve races in the past or anything like that. So they are learning the ways of FSR, and it's good to see that they are coming in. But we're now looking at Stephen Michaels, who's the other reserve for Ground Effect, as Luca was not able to attend here today. So where can he put himself? 12th at the moment. He jumps up into 8th position, but still 8/10 off Simoncic.
Yeah, Simoncic has... just looking at the split times here, Alan Terzic, who is the current last qualifier, is 1.6 seconds off Simoncic. So behind Baxter, everybody's pretty close together, but it's like there's 2 separate leagues. You've got the top 3 or 4, and then everybody else. But I'm expecting Mitchie to probably put in a decent lap towards the end and probably put himself 3rd or 4th. But he'll still have to pull out all the stops to do it.
And we look at Baxter now in the final sector. He hasn't done any personal best at the moment, so unless he's done something miracle in the final sector, I don't know if he's going to improve, and he doesn't, so he stays in 2nd place for the moment. Dennis Jordan in 10th place is improving on a couple of sectors as well as he comes into the final sector. Kirill Burkov goes to 14th place in the background. And where does Dennis put himself? 3rd place. Nice lap there from Dennis Jordan.
Fantastic lap.
Yeah, good. And yeah, as you say, it's so close. There's 3 drivers on a 1:06.9 at the moment, and a 2 on a 7.0, so it's very close. Just showing how quick Baxter and Simoncic are. And now we're looking on board with Queekle, who's just been demoted to 7th place, but he's just done a personal best in the 1st sector and a purple in the middle sector, so this could be a really nice lap for your own Queekle. He's been quite aggressive this year, as we've seen, and he's looking good in the championship 2nd place at the moment. Where can he put himself, as qualifying is so important here today? He jumps up into 3rd place, so he pushes down just Petr Burlak and Sander Kallas, who have put up some good times as we're speaking there as well. So yeah, it's looking very close indeed in this sort of midfield pack.
Yene Simoncic going round again. He's done a 17.4 and a 33.3, and I think he's abandoned that lap because it was a bit slower.
He was personal best though, but obviously he wasn't happy with how he did that final sector. We've also got Van der Niet out on a lap coming into the final sector. As we mentioned, they only get 3 laps, and it is a private session, so they are all on their track to himself, but that means obviously some of the laps come in all at once. But let's see what Danny can do. First lap for him, 19th position. So still a decent lap, 7.8, but obviously in the World Championship the times are so close, you really have to be on it at the front. We've got a couple of guys on laps at the moment. We've got Vac and Michaels, but they are not improving, at least in the 1st sector. The 2nd split, as you come through the swimming pool there, Vac's actually on a personal best in the middle sector. He's currently in 14th place. He's had an interesting start to the season. He's moved up to the World Championship, hasn't been quite on the absolute pace, but where can he put himself? 10th position, so the last person at the moment to use those soft compound tyres for the start of the race. As we see Burlak on his outlap, still with a minute and a half to go. Janos Brakshock down in 11th place is on a lap as well. He hasn't done a personal best in the 1st sector, but that is still a decent time. And he's now coming up to back corner. And this is a corner where you can lose so much time if you hit that wall on the outside. But he's kept it nice and tidy before you work it through this really fast. Like, it's unbelievable how quick you can take that 3rd, 4th gear and then get it all stopped for the 2 most annoying corners on the track in some regards, because it always understeers through there before you open up DRS, come to the line, and where can Brakshock put himself? He goes to 5th place. Nice lap as well. And Baxter 17.1 in the 1st sector, as he is on his final lap as well. So quite a few lap times getting put in here as we come to the final minute of the session. and the final laps will be put in. And Baxter's at a personal best in the second sector as well, so he's looking good. This could be looking towards the pole position as Pet actually hit the wall there on the outside of turn number 4.
Baxter's abandoned his lap.
That's a shame. He was looking very good for the lap. So let's just stay on board with Peter Burdick to see what he can do. No one else is really challenging. A bit of understeer there in Portier as he comes through the second DRS zone on the track. Down through the tunnel. Such a difficult braking zone downhill. Looking for that orange barrier. Get as close to it as you can before you get the exit up. Coming towards the third sector. And this is the tricky technical sector. You got basically this fast chicane. Oh, he hits the wall.
Bye-bye wheel.
Yeah, he hit the wall. Just went too wide there on the exit. And is Simoncic going to get even deeper into his pole position? He's leading Baxter by 0.17 of a second. He's leading third place Kwikel by 0.3 of a second. This is what we saw in Portugal all over again. Simoncic is just romping away with the qualifying pace in this car.
His teammate Michi Hoyer's down in 12th, 7/10 of a second behind. So Hoyer's not having fun out there on the streets of Azure, but anything can happen in the course of the race. People will, whoa, that was close to the wall for Simoncic. Got a bit of rubber on the wall there. No, he's abandoned the lap. There we go.
But, the last person is Erasmus Shuli, but he's 3 seconds off in the first sector, so that will be him coming back to the pit lane. So, Jene Simoncic is your pole man here at Azure, but the big news is Craig Baxter, a reserve. He's got nothing to lose on second place, on the first row of the grid. He is the one to look out for. We know Simoncic has a massive pace advantage in qualifying generally, but the race pace is normally fairly even. So look at that. Quite big gaps here, but that is just showing how good it is. However, just like in Portugal, behind the first couple of drivers, it is so close. Kwikel, Burlak, Brakshock, all within a few thousandths of a second. So I think this is going to be a really exciting race here at Azure.
Yeah, we saw in the first 2 races that you can follow, but you've got to get past, and if Baxter can get a decent start and lead Simoncic into the first corner, then it throws the race wide open. But I fear if Simoncic does get ahead, then expect him to just pull away.
Yeah, the interesting thing to look at now would be the strategy, because we saw in the pro race that I believe it was Hives did a 2-stop, and he actually caught back up to Luke Maguire, who did a 1-stop. And then obviously this race is another 15 laps longer, so you'd assume on raw pace a 2-stop is definitely quicker. But the interesting thing is, can you make that work? Basically, can you get the overtakes that you need? But while we have a little break here for the warm-up session, the drivers get used to the race fuel, we'll have a quick track guide by the one and only Michi Hoyer.
Welcome everyone, this is Formula Sim Racing and my name is Michi Hoyer. Welcome to today's edition of Track Walk, the track presentation of the famous Circuit d'Azur. We're firing up the engine and make it out of the pits very tight here onto the pits. I even have to reverse a little due to the tightness of the pit exit, and that pretty much sums up what it is all about, what is happening here on the Formula Sim Racing race weekend. We are at one of the most famous track circuits in the world, leaving pit road, up the hill, going towards the casino, turn 3 that is here on the left hand side, but the actual casino turn is this right hander, turn 4. And as you all know, the circuit, there is not much to say about its main characteristics. Full downforce as much as you can get as we come down to the most famous hairpin in the world, the Hotel hairpin, the Grand Hotel hairpin I think it is, the slowest point in the Formula Sim Racing and Formula 1 calendar. Also going into the tunnel here, the second DRS zone has been added, and yeah, coming out of tunnel into Nouvelle chicane, the tightest chicane on the circuit. Speaking about tight, the entire circuit is very tight, so a minor mistake, and not even a major mistake, and you're straight into the barriers. Fast chicane around Piscine, the slower chicane around Piscine, and then final turn, Raskas. Not penultimate turn that is, but it's very famous as Michael Schumacher has parked it there in 2006, but we don't park it, we smash it now. DRS wide open to start our flying lap around the circuit. hard on the brakes into turn 1, Sandevort, probably the best overtaking spot if you even want to talk about overtaking here on this circuit. Coming up to turn 3, left-hander, try to stay on the inside, line up with the wall right here to get a best possible entry into Casino, then stay away from this bump into Mirabeau Haute. That goes down right to the Grand Hotel hairpin, first gear, only time of the year we're going to use that during a cornering. Then turn 8, Mirabeau Bas into Portier, and then very important, straight into the tunnel, DRS wide open to the second possible potential overtaking spot. Hard on the brakes into Nouvelle Chicane, very tight here on the wall, on the anti-cut, going towards the double downshift, Tabac corner, straight, full throttle through the fast chicane, into the slower chicane, where Max Verstappen used to plank it twice already in his career, going around last cuts, and then final turn, kissing the inside curb, kissing the exit curb, even a slight notch on the wall. Happily the cars are right, and across the line. That is one flying lap here around the Circuit d'Azur, and I'm pretty sure you guys are interested to see who's able to keep it out of the walls, who's able to keep it out of the planks, and who is maybe planking the car. You will find out 1400, 1630 and 1900 GMT when ACA Pro and the World Championship drivers are fighting for the most prestigious win in the season here around Circuit d'Azur. And yeah, I have already spoken about the fact that even the slightest mistake makes you go right into the barrier, so we're all eager to find out who is doing the job, the nerve-wracking race, without a single mistake.
And welcome back to the 5th round of the Formula Sim Racing World Championship. We're here for the Azure Grand Prix, 78 laps. But what are these drivers fighting for? Well, they're obviously fighting for the World Championship title for both the drivers and the constructors. But what are they actually fighting for? Well, we've got a wonderful prize pool thanks to our sponsors, SimLab, 3D Wrap, and now IMB Racewear as well. So we got a total prize pool that's worth about €5,000 now, which is great to see. The teams will be getting a prize per the amount of points that they get. But regarding the actual sponsors, we've got some wonderful products for them as well. So 3D Wrap will be giving us 2 rims, one for the Drivers' Champion and one for the Team's Constructors' Champion as well. And SimLab will be giving a P1X Racing chassis and seat, which is a great prize for some of these drivers, because I know some of them aren't always on the top spec rigs. That is a totally solid rig, which is nice to see. And new for this race, we have IMB Racewear, who will be giving a bundle to each of the 3 drivers' champions in the 3 categories, which will include a personalised set of gloves, boots, hat and a shirt, which is great to see. So you can have some nice personalised kit for the 2021 season in Formula Sim Racing. So thanks to those guys for helping us have a nice prize pool here. But we are looking forward to the 78 laps here, aren't we, Aidan?
Yeah, it's going to be pretty good, I think. The best open wheel races in rFactor 2 all going around one of the tightest and most difficult circuits in the world. So you know, as a wise man once said, you've got to be alert on a street circuit, and nowhere have you got to be more alert than here.
That's no truer words have ever been said. We got 78 laps. You've got, okay, admittedly it's a bit difficult to overtake, but you've got plenty of time to organise your strategy, organise your overtakes. So hopefully we don't see anyone going too crazy in the first sort of 5 laps, and that they take their time. We have seen in the Pro and the Academy race earlier on today that it is possible to overtake. It's absolutely possible, especially with the 2 DRS zones that we've got here. So you just need to bide your time, wait till the perfect moment, then make it. You don't need to force anything, but I'm sure our drivers know exactly what to do, as some of them would have raced at this circuit before, but in Formula Sim Racing specifically, we haven't been here since 2013. So it's great to be back, and hopefully we can have a nice race here today.
Yeah, it's our first time racing here with these newer, longer, wider cars compared to the 2013 spec Formula cars we had before. So we saw one driver clang their rear wheel on the inside of one of the barriers, and it's going to be a bit difficult to drive when you've ripped one of your rear wheels off.
Yeah, hopefully we don't have any wheels off. But let's remind you of the qualifying results. So we've got Jerne Simicic on pole position from Craig Baxter. Once again, Jerne has basically a 2/10 gap for pole. He is definitely the one to look out for in qualifying this year. But right behind them, on the second and third row, it is unbelievably close. Look at that. Kweekel, Burlak, Brakshock, Callas, all within a few thousandths of each other. And then even then behind them, we've got Jordan, we've got Priestis, Mojek, and Jordis Wise getting into the top 10 for Singularity, which I believe is his highest qualifying position. I believe that's the first time he's ever got into the top 10, so good job for him. Then we've got Michi Hoyer and Thomas Vack on the 6th row for today. Then we go to Michael Siebel, Mashuli, Panzar, Sadly, who will actually start a little bit further down because he had a grid penalty, and then Birakov, Vandeny, and Alen Terzic, who we'll give him some time to get up to pace as he's only just come back to sim racing in the last few weeks. So this is his second race back, but hopefully he gets past the first couple of laps like we saw in Portugal. But yes, Simicic leading the way on once again a very slow formation lap, as we often see. But you don't want to go too slow here because the engines will get fairly hot. You don't get that much time to cool the engines here, so hopefully everyone's got the radiator, because we did see a few people actually blow their engines in the pro race.
Yeah, a lot of blown engines. They have the quali boost, and they got the race mode. So party mode and regular mode, I guess. And if you use it for more than 3 seconds a lap, you're just going to end up having your engine go pop. And we saw that happen in both races so far. But I think the main concern with these drivers is keeping the car out the wall, because, well, as you can see from Craig Baxter's over the shoulder view, there isn't anywhere to go, really.
Yes, one of the biggest issues of a street circuit like this is obviously if you crash, it's not just you, sometimes it's the people behind. So hopefully everyone does keep it nice and safe. And yeah, 78 laps. So there's going to be plenty of action, plenty of time for things to do. And it's really now a battle. Is it a one-stop? Is it a two-stop? And that will definitely be dictated whether it's Craig or Jerne leading into turn 1 and what their pace is. I was speaking to a couple of the drivers, and some said a one-stop might be possible, but you do really have to save the softs in that first stint. So yeah, we'll see. It's not easiest to overtake, so that could be on your side. So let's see as they come to grid up for the 5th race of the season, the halfway point in the season.
And the other problem is if you're one of the in inverted commas slower drivers, you're at less of a disadvantage because you can just hold everybody up. But especially when your tyres have gone off. But we're just getting ready to go now. So once everybody's in the right spot, the hooters will sound, and we're going racing.
Yeah, and then there goes Alen, lining up at the back of the field. So let's see what Jerne Simicic can do from pole position, leading the way from Craig Baxter. And the lights come on here in Azure for the first time in over 7 years. And who is going to get the whole shot coming down into turn number 1? It looks like Jerne Simicic actually has had a pretty good start. Is everyone going to be nice and clean? Your own Kweekel, bit of contact there, and he's been pushed out a little bit by Baxter. And that means Petter Burlak has got up into 3rd position as Kweekel drops down to 4th there. Brakshock almost hitting the back of Sander Callas a bit further down. We got Thomas Vack going wide in turn number 3. But I think everyone's got through sector 1 nicely. Almost. Tom Sadley just lost his rear wing there on the rear of Alen Terzic, actually. Couldn't break in time for turn number 4. But apart from that, I think everyone is getting through nicely. What about the hairpin?
Just about. Robin Pantsar just creeping round.
Oh, God, some of them go about 10 k's an hour. As you now have Mashuli and Alen Terzic going side by side, coming out into Portier as well. But let's go back to the front of the field as we see Jerne Simicic is leading the way comfortably for Craig Baxter. And then it looks like it's going pretty nicely behind them as well. Got Burlak, Kweekel, Callas, Brakshock, Dennis Jordan, Jim Priestis, David Mojek and Jordy Swire. So the top 10 have stayed the top 10. And they are the ones on the alternate... Sorry, they're not on the alternate strategy. So it's Michi Hoyer leading the way with that alternate strategy.
Well, Simičić has a 0.6 of a second lead already after just one lap. It was nearly 0.8 of a second as they went through the first timing beam, as we're riding on board with Peter Burlak going up through Beau Rivage towards Massenet, which is a bit of a tricky corner because you might understeer, but you still got to take the two apexes of there and then through Casino Square over that huge bump. Some drivers are driving over it, some are going around it, depends on how the car's set up. And then into the notorious hotel hairpin, the Lowe's hairpin, the station hairpin, depending how old you are. It's about 30 miles an hour through there. It's ridiculously slow. And then through Portier into the first of the two DRS zones that you have across the lap. Iconic shot of the cars going through the tunnel. And then it's what do you do on the brakes? There's a bit of a chirp on the brakes for Craig Baxter into the chicane.
Yeah, that tunnel's really so important because the kink gets quite tight just in the middle, and if you are too close, you will get a little bit of oversteer as the aero balance is unsettled a little bit in the dirty air. But still a very good overtaking opportunity down into the chicane after that. But I would expect now to see we need to see what Simičić is going to do. But I'm going to expect him to not be going too quick. Let's see. Yeah, 13.4. So that is not overly quick. For the first lap, you would expect pushing them to be into the 11s, even on a full tank of fuel. So I suspect Simičić is potentially going a little bit slow to see what he can do and maybe do a one-stop here.
Well, we were talking in chat in the last round is that you can stretch out the hard tyres to about 40 laps if you're careful. So, but Simičić being at the front of the field and with overtaking being so difficult, he can effectively do whatever he wants, and in terms of tyre saving, fuel saving, and all that good stuff. So he'll push when he needs to and save when he needs to. Meanwhile, hoping that Baxter and Burliak and Quake will start battling and he can just pull away.
Yeah, it's interesting thing that you said about the fuel. The fuel actually is probably not an issue here because it's a shorter distance. You can actually underfuel the car quite a lot. And you don't spend that much time in full throttle either here, so you can underfuel a little bit. So I would assume everyone's taken enough fuel to a point where you don't have to save during the race. And obviously that is just, the nature of Azure. I'm sure it's the same in real life as well. That's just what it is. With the average speed being so much lower, and then therefore the race distance being even shorter. So that is an interesting point to look out for.
Okay, I'm getting a message saying that Alan Terzic overtook 4 cars at the hairpin. That's brave.
I would hope that was on lap number 1, because if you do it at racing speed, then that is quite something. But yeah, he's up into 16th place, so he's made up a couple of positions. He was, I don't know if complaining is the right word, but he wasn't overly happy with his practice that he was doing. He was struggling a little bit to get used to the car and track combination. But yeah, he's overtaken a few drivers there. Points only go to 10th place, remember, in the World Championship as well. So you've got to get quite high up to get those points. So he's a little bit off that at the moment, but potentially that is opening the door to a good race here for him.
Baxter's, we say Baxter's keeping him a bit honest. That gap's still hovering around the 0.6 of a second mark. It almost got to a second, but Baxter's still in that DRS zone, so able to keep with Simičić. But you think, going through Massenet in corners like that, those front tyres of Baxter's are going to get shredded after about 15 laps or so.
Yeah, he does need to be careful. He wants to stay close enough that obviously Simičić isn't getting away, even though that's probably not an issue if we see Simičić is saving a little bit, because he's still in the 13s. But he also doesn't want to get too close, because if you're in that dirty air and that sort of hotter air as well for quite a long time, you'll overheat your brakes a little bit, you overheat your engine, and you'll generally get a little bit more tyre wear as you slide around. So he does need to be careful with that, especially if he wants to follow doing a one-stop strategy.
Well, we saw the one-stop strategy work in the previous round, but this race is a little bit longer, so those tyres will have to be dragged out an extra 5 or 6 laps to properly make it work. But it's all as you were, pretty much. Quakel was the one that lost out at the start. But it's still Simičić, Baxter, Brilak, Quakel, Callas, Brakshock, Jordan, Brisis, Mrocek, and Jordi Zviers making up the top 10. Michi Hoyer dropping back a bit, although he is up into 11th from 12th.
Someone I want to look out for is Tom Sadley, because he's obviously quite a way behind as he lost his front wing on that first lap. But if he's going like a second or so quicker like he is at the moment, he's probably going to catch back up to the train eventually if this slow pace stays. So he might actually, eventually, obviously this is going to be in like 40 laps time, he might not actually be too disadvantaged, but he does have quite a way to make up. He's got about 20 seconds to make up. But at a second a lap, that's 20 laps. So we'll have to see how that one works out. He's setting purple lap times at the moment, some 1.5 seconds than the leader.
Yeah, Simičić looks like he is definitely saving those tyres to eke them out. But as people are saying in chat, he can't go too slow, otherwise Michi Hoyer and co will leapfrog him in the stops.
Yeah,
and he won't be able to overtake them.
Yeah, that is something that he's really got to consider. Michi Hoyer's literally on the back of Jordi Zviers in 11th place at the moment. I don't know if he's just in the DRS zone, but he's not too far behind. So if he's staying there, that could be pretty good for his strategy on those hard compound tyres. If he's going to be quick at the end, one would assume potentially on the set of the medium tyres, because then he'll be able to push a little bit and pit a little bit earlier. What Simičić needs to be wary of is the undercut. The undercut was worth a lot of time in the academy and pro races earlier, and it just generally is anyway, because obviously you get onto those fresher tyres. So he does need to be wary of that if someone's going to go for a two-stop. But looking at this massive crocodile that is forming, it is going to be quite interesting as to when they choose to do those pit stops. But I'm glad actually that everyone's keeping it fairly calm. I did remind them before the race that it is 78 laps and we don't want to lose all the drivers early on. There's plenty of time to sort it out, so it's good to see that they're keeping it nice and clean. But obviously these are the best drivers in rFactor 2 open wheel, so it's good to see that they're keeping it nice and cool at the moment.
Yeah, no heroics into San Devote is the radio message we might be familiar with, but actually Baxter's put the hammer down a smidge. He's closed up about 0.2 of a second, so it does appear to be a well worked out tyre saving drive from Simičić. Is Baxter's even closer now? No, he's dropped a 10th, but he's gained another 10th, I should say. So maybe Baxter's just going, hey, I'm still here.
In the we did a couple of test races for Azure in the last couple of weeks, and on one of the test races I did 20 laps on the soft compound tyres, obviously with less than a full tank of fuel like these guys will have. So I messaged Jenny and I said to him, I was like, if I did 20 laps, surely a one-stop's got to be possible. And he's like, yeah, but you've got to go longer than 20 laps, so you're going to have to go really careful. So he was certainly planning it. And as we saw, for instance, in China last year, that was a very good example. He did, I think it was like 45 laps on a set of hard compound tyres on that occasion, which managed to get him the win. So he knows exactly what to do with eking out the tyres. And you just got to hope that Craig Baxter doesn't get impatient sitting behind him.
Well, Simičić just pulled another 0.2 of a second, so it's almost like he's backing up, going, backing up, going, backing up, going. I'll have to have a look at his lap times actually. So he was doing, so his last 5 laps, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he did a 13.9, 13.3, 13.1, 13.1, 12.9. So he's
speeding up a little bit.
He's probably going to slow up a tiny bit in the next couple of laps and then go again later on.
Yeah, he's speed up a little bit, because that 13.9 at the beginning is obviously quite slow. So he's obviously just judging that gap safely, but Craig Baxter is all over the back of him and he's looking calm. And Craig hasn't been in FSR since, I believe, 2016. So it's been quite a while, and that was also in what was called ACE, which is the second tier, now known as the Pro Championship. So this is now obviously a step up. He's done plenty of open wheel racing in other leagues as well. Won a couple of championships elsewhere, so he obviously knows what he's doing. But one thing that I spoke to him about the other day was he's never had quotations mark luck at Monaco. He's always generally had issues here. But so far, as we head on to the 10th lap of this race, he's not doing too badly at the moment.
Not bad for someone that's not been here for 4 years in a completely different car. But it's... well, he's now right up the diffuser, unless that's just the concertina effect. We'll have to have a look in a second when when they go through the next timing thing. Half a second. So, yeah, probably just the concertina effect.
Yeah. And that little section there before the tunnel, so through Mirabeau, the hairpin, and then the two right-handers towards the tunnel, those are places where you can't really overtake or anything. So if you go slow there, that's probably the best place to tactically go slow, because you can't really be overtaken for it. So that could be a place where you can easily gain or lose time. And the interesting thing here is that despite potentially this traffic having a mix-up and all that sort of stuff, the top four still includes Burlak, Kwikel and Simičić, and those have been the top three drivers all throughout the season so far. So it's interesting that the cream has still risen to the top here.
Just trying to see where else there's... Davin Rocek, Jordi's Fires still very close together. Burst Esports holding up Singularity. But at this place, catching is one thing and passing is definitely something else, as we were saying in the last race about an hour or so ago.
Oh yeah, definitely, and especially when you have a DRS zone, it is a little bit difficult when there's a number of cars in front of you. If you don't have a huge pace advantage, which at the moment they don't really, because their tyres are all the same age, you do have to just pick your moment until the person ahead maybe makes a mistake, something like that. But I tell you, someone who's benefiting so much, we spoke about it earlier, is Michi Hoyer. He's once again just sitting just about in the DRS zone of Jordi's Vires there, and he's just he's just chilling. He's just having fun there in 11th place. And if he can keep those hard tyres in a nice way, once these soft tyre drivers pit, he might be able to start pushing and potentially make some places up that way with some sort of... obviously the overcut itself isn't going to work, but he might be able to negate that time by pushing once all these drivers ahead are gone. And it's not like he's dropped off by 5 seconds, he's still just right there on the back of Jordi.
But the other problem he's got is, because it's so difficult to overtake, once those softs have passed their best and he's going to be then faster, he's not going to be able to get by unless Jordi's Vires, Davin Rocek have some sort of wobble coming out of Portier, the chicane or the final corner.
I'll tell you something that Simičić is doing pretty well. If he went to the front and he pushed, he would... For his strategy, for like a two-stop strategy to work, you don't want to come out in traffic. So you would then want to pit and then come out ahead of the alternate strategy drivers, which in this case is Michi Hoyer. So he would need to get, let's say, 20 seconds on Michi. Because he's holding up the pack so much, Birikov in 19th is only 13 seconds off him, which means he would be about 7 seconds behind Birikov and then be able to push. Now, obviously, on this occasion, I don't think he is doing a two-stop, but we'll see. But either way, what he's doing now is at least he's given himself the option to do either, because right now he's not going to come in traffic if he makes a pit stop for a two-stop either. So he's been very smart at the moment.
I mean, the whole field separated now. The whole field pretty much separated by about 13. Oh, sorry, no, that's not right. I'm reading that wrong. Ignore me. I was going to say the whole field separated by about 13 seconds or so, but that's not right, because you've got Tom Satherley right at the back still trying to catch up to everybody.
Yeah, I still think he might have a chance. He's caught up quite a few seconds. He's done fastest lap of the race easily on the back there. He's still well over half a second a lap quicker at the moment, so it's all looking pretty decent for Tom, but he's obviously having to push those hard tyres, and he will need to make another pit stop. So yeah, I'm not sure what tyres exactly he started on, Because if he started on the softs or the mediums, then that could be good, because that means he'll be able to take another set of the hard tyres later on in the race. Let's have a look at the pace. So the pace has gone back in, or yeah, still really in the low 13s. So how long can they go? That is the question. How long can they go?
Well, Simičić lost 0.2 of a second over the last 4 laps, so he's slowly backing off. But then he'll probably charge again for a couple of laps and slow up again a bit later. I mean, how many laps have we done now? We're on lap 14, so yeah, I'd probably expect Simičić to try and drag these tyres out to lap 22, 23 maybe.
And that pit stop lap is probably the most crucial lap. If Baxter is being smart, which I assume he is, because it looks like he's not doing anything too crazy. If he's been smart and he is somehow able to undercut Yerne and get the lead, that would just be like 1,000 IQ move for staying right behind Simičić. But we all know 2019 World Champion Simičić knows what he's doing, and he's obviously just being very calm and collected. So let's have a look to see what happened with Birkov.
I think he just outbraked himself, cut the chicane. Probably have a warning for his track limit infringement there, but seems to be still on his way.
You need to be careful. You can get a direct drive-through if you cut the chicane too much. So I would hope he hasn't got one of them, but he's still going for now. He's still showing quite the pace that he showed in Indianapolis in the 3rd race of the season. But yeah, he's still going on those medium compound tyres.
On board with Janis Brakshock coming through the swimming pool section. It's been a lot harder to get through now that they've sort of opened up that first part. So oh, there we go. Who was that pitting? That's Sander Kallas bringing the car in. Ooh. See what he's going to go on to. All right, end of lap 15.
This is
and we've already got. This is a 2-stopper.
Yes. He's gone to the hard set of tyres, so he's given him the option to 1-stop. But 63 laps. I'm going to say it's too much.
Probably another set of the softs towards the end.
Yeah, I'm going to say that's... Yeah, I would say maybe if Simičić did that, I would have faith. But considering how early he's pit on the softs, one would assume he's struggling with tyre wear a little bit. But as you can see, Kallas has come out with clean air. Oh,
yeah.
Who's this? Michaels and Terzic side by side coming through Portier. There was some contact on the exit of the hairpin, and this could be an opportunity for one of these drivers coming down into the Nouvelle chicane, as it is known as. Terzic going to have a look? No, he's not. But I'm not quite sure what happened at the chicane, but there was definitely some contact there between those two.
The contact's not going to work too well here because you don't want to spend most of the race driving around with your suspension all buckled or aero damage on your car. Very high downforce. He's already tried to launch it down the inside of the hairpin.
Yeah, but then he ran out of steering lock, and
at least he gave.
Yeah.
At least he managed to tip the other guy around into a better position to make a getaway.
Yeah, I mean, Steve did try and leave him a bit of room, but Alain was just too tight and came quite far. But nothing really happened there, probably just a bit of a racing incident. It is very difficult to overtake into that hairpin because the steering lock is so tight on that particular corner. And just to correct what I said earlier, Tom Sadley actually started on the hard compound tyres, which means he's going to need to take something else, which makes the strategy a little bit harder because it means he's probably going to have to go to the mediums and stay out on those hard tyres for a little bit longer. But back at the front, Simičić has now gone into the low 12s and he's stretching this top group a little bit. Look at this. So he's obviously seen Kallas pit and he's seen this opportunity to try and make a bit of a gap, because as I mentioned before, he just needs to make sure that Craig or Petter doesn't undercut him. And considering he's pushing now, I'm going to assume he's going to pit somewhere around lap 20.
If he can break that DRS gap, then that will help him out a lot. I mean, his last lap just gone was a 12.4, so he's keeping it consistent right now.
And
he doesn't want to burn through those tyres too much.
Quico hasn't kept up. He has dropped off the back of Burlak here. So Quico hasn't recognised this pace increase. And he is, a couple of seconds behind now. So he's not going to have DRS. So this could leave him open to Janos Brakshock. Well, we all know how good Quico has been on the brakes this season.
And he's under threat from everybody behind him. So he's got clean air, but he's still got 2 drivers wanting that 4th place behind him.
So is he going to come into the pit? This is lap 18. I'd say this is a little bit too early, and yes, it is. Anyone else? No, everyone's keep it on going. So it does look like a one-stop is the strategy of choice for most of the drivers. Just depends what lap they decide to make that move.
Bradshaw having a sniff at Quakel into turn 1. Climbing up the hill through Massenate. Double apex left-hander. It doesn't look like it, but it is. And then through the casino, which is a great corner when you get it all hucked up. And then this is the frustrating part. Mirabeau down towards the hairpin. And then through Portier. Front end just wants to slide through here. And then boot it at the right time through the tunnel. Hopefully Brakshock won't have another stab at Quakel. Well, at least that's what Quakel will be thinking right now.
Yeah,
he talks in the third person. Why not?
Yeah, he got a good exit. But yeah, he's dropping off now. 2.5 seconds to Burlak, who has kept up with the pace at the front. I do wonder if this is a sign that Quico's not quite as good on his tyres, potentially. As we are ending lap 19. Still no one coming into the pits just yet. So they are, they're trying to make this this one-stop work. But Simičić again, personal best. Or at least close to his personal best, so he's starting to push now.
And 19 laps completed here at Azure.
It's obviously a Netrex thing because Danny Van Den Eet has pit as well, and he's gone on to medium. So yeah, obviously Netrex struggling a bit with the tyres.
Well, some tracks suit teams and drivers more than others. I mean, all these cars are the same. They've got exactly the same amount of power. They've got the same drag. They've got the same downforce. Everything. So it's all down to setup and driver ability. And some drivers just get on better at some tracks compared to others.
Looking at where Kalas is compared to Birkov, there's only 3-4 seconds in between them. Kalas was obviously behind Simičić. So Simičić is, I think he's going to come out in traffic, or at least quite close to Birkov. And this pushing that he's doing might actually be a hindrance due to what I was saying earlier, because he was keeping the pack so close together. They were quite close behind him. And now he, I guess he's pushing because he doesn't want Kalas to undercut him, but this could put him in a bit of a tricky situation when he makes his pit stop, as we're already on to lap 21.
So this is where we're going to start anticipating people to come in. Simičić might get another couple of laps out to maximise the tyre life over the next stint. So it looks like he's definitely one stop in this.
Yeah.
And then he'll probably try the same tactic when he puts his hards on.
So last lap, Simičić managed to get out of the DRS zone of Craig Baxter. He was 4/10 quicker, personal best lap of the race, and he was pretty close to the purple fastest lap of anyone at that time. The person who's just beaten that now is Danny Van Den Eet, but he's just pit for a set of medium compound tyres. But we're certainly coming to that point, aren't we, where end of the stint, he's trying to make that gap, he's trying to make something work on the strategy, and once again they do not go. So they're making these tyres last a really long time, and still no one going. So it certainly seems Netrex are the ones who are struggling, and everyone else seems to be going for this track position orientated strategy.
Yeah, Simičić is about a second a lap faster than Quakel right now, which isn't good for your own. Still keeping Brakshock in behind him though. But Brakshock's not close enough to send one up in the inside into the chicane.
Yeah, I do wonder what Quakel's doing. He's now 3.7 off Peter Berlak. Very interesting indeed. A couple of races, such as Indianapolis, he actually had like the best tyre wear out of everyone. So interesting that he's struggling a little bit here as they come into the tunnel for the 22nd time. Backshock's still not close enough to make a move, so Quickel's obviously getting good exits still. So yeah, that's an interesting one.
Quaker might try and maximise that clean air. Well, he's still got some though, but you might think it's just that Quakel's not compatible with this track.
Yeah, potentially. As we mentioned earlier, some drivers suit tracks, some don't. So that is really sometimes what it comes down to. And Simičić now 2 seconds ahead of Baxter. He is pushing away, 6.5 ahead of Quickel. He's really stretching it out now.
Can I have some of his talent, please?
Especially in an open wheel.
Yeah.
Like, he's quick in like a GT, a prototype. Obviously, he's a virtual endurance champion. I do believe he's going to potentially be a double champion as well, because I believe coming into the last race of the season, they are still able to win the car that he is in. But last season, they're champion there as well. Obviously, champion in FSR last year, so champion in many of the top rFactor 2 leagues, but mainly in the open wheels is where he's absolutely alien.
He's from the next galaxy, other than alien, I think. But end of lap 23, he's going round again.
I wonder who's waiting for who. Like, who's going to call the shot here and take the initiative? Baxter lost another 4/10 on that lap, so Baxter's out of contention for calling the shot. Simičić has put himself in the perfect opportunity, perfect position, I should say, to call the shots. Someone behind, it's a difficult one. It's a difficult one to see who's actually going to be the one to pull the trigger. But looking at Kallas, he's now caught up to the back of Birkov. So yeah, Simičić is going to be in traffic. I'm pretty sure he's going to be in traffic when he pits, so he's got to make this pit stop at the best time that he can. He's got Tom Oldermenger and Jabtes are the 2 engineers for the 2 burst cars, so I'm sure one of those 2 will be monitoring the gap, trying to work out when the best time is for Simičić to pit. And we are on the end of lap 24 now. Anyone going to jump in? Still no one. I'm surprised that they're going, that so many people are going this long, and that is only Netrex who are trying this probable 2-stop strategy.
Well, Kallas is stuck behind Birkov right now, so he's not been able to do anything with that stop right now.
And that's the issue. We're doing a 2-stop, to be honest. And Sadly is not far behind Kallas, so Sadly is almost caught up, as we mentioned he would, although he obviously needs to make another pit stop as well as Kallas. So it might not actually worked out too bad for Sadly, because he was at the back of the field due to his penalty anyway.
Quakel's 7 seconds behind Berlak right now, so he's that top 3 is definitely bolted, but Simičić still has ultimate control over this race. Although Berliak's looking pretty close to Baxter in the background of the shot that I'm looking at.
I heard someone hit the wall.
Oh yeah, I've just seen a suspension. Oh, Mrocek.
I know what he's done.
He's hit the invisible wall, hasn't he?
Well, there's a bit of the wall that sticks out in the tunnel on the left-hand side. So let's have a look. Just as the concrete wall ends and you get the Armco. Oh no. Oh wow, even worse.
He hit the other side.
He hit the other side, but he kind of got squeezed a little bit with Paresis, that would have been, as Thomas Fack comes into the pit lane. Damn, that's a shame for Mrocek. He also got second last time out and was just sitting there comfortably in the bottom half of the top 10. But yeah, that's him out of the race. And yeah, that's a bit of a weird one. But he is out, and now Sivicic 3 seconds in the lead, which is quite something. But we're now looking at the back of Dennis Jordan as he gets really close to Janos Bragshok, who's dropped off the back of Queekle a little bit here.
Yeah, Quakel's got 7/10 of a second over Bragshok now, so Quakel's found a little bit of pace, or Bragshok's tyres have worn away. Either or, maybe yes. But Simičić goes round one more time. That's 26 laps he's completed now on those tyres.
Yeah,
I was expecting 23, 24.
Oh, someone went in. Who was that? Bragshok.
Yeah, Bragshok. So where's he going to come out? And Paresis as well.
Yeah, 25 laps, 26 laps. This sounds about right. Obviously, the further you go, the better. So let's see. That's going to be awkward on the pit exit. Yeah, Paresis is going to have to wait a little bit there. He probably lost about half a second or so.
Well, Bragshok comes out into clean air.
But look how far behind Callas he is.
Yeah.
So, could Callas get ahead of Sivicic? I mean, maybe not Sivicic, but maybe, because Sivicic is pushing quite a lot, but maybe Baxter. Callas could be in a net second position after all of this, but obviously the traffic is hindering that a little bit. But obviously, yeah, Callas does need to make another pit stop, we assume, because of how early he pitted. Sivicic now 4 seconds in lead. Wow. Really pushing away at the front. Anyone coming in? No, not at least from the top. So everyone is staying status quo at the moment.
As far as him. What's he taking? He's taking hards. Looks like a one stop from Singularity there.
Yeah, definitely the hard compound tyres if you want to make a one stop. You'd assume if they're two stopping, they would have taken the softer tyres earlier, so you can really push and get that gap that you need to make the second pit stop. But yeah, definitely the hard compounds for the.
Spies has got clean air at least. Gets out in front of Paresis.
Did he? He was behind Paresis before. Oh yeah, because Paresis got held up, didn't he? Because of Bragshok. And that has meant that Suarez has got ahead of Paresis. That's a free position there for Singularity. And on this lap, Baxter's actually caught up a little bit to Sivicic.
Ooh, that's a huge slide. Was that that was Baxter? Just had a huge slide out the swimming pool. But goes round again. That's the Sivicic.
Panzer. Oh, Dennis Jordan's in. Dennis Jordan is in the pit lane. And he's obviously going to be trying some sort of potential undercut or something like that. Hard compound tyres, obviously. Also on the previous lap, Robin Panzer went off. So let's have a look. He actually did get a track cut for this. I saw as his lap time was invalidated. Oh yeah, just far too quick.
Lock the rears.
He slowed down enough, I believe, which is why he avoided a penalty there. Wow, Sivicic pulled another second in basically half a lap to Baxter. So I think Baxter's struggling. I think Baxter might need to pit on this lap.
Yeah, it looks like Baxter's cooked his rear tyres. He's had a couple of slides. Whereas Simičić, so he's probably baked them following Simičić that close for too long. And now trying to keep up, he's made it worse.
Could be interesting to see where Baxter comes out though, because he's dropped off now almost another second he's dropped off. He's got to pit this lap. He's got to pit this lap. That's 2 seconds in a lap he's lost.
And now Simičić has gone around again and Baxter's in.
Yeah, he had to. He was losing so much time there. Because he's lost those seconds, this could put him very vulnerable to the sort of Bragshok-Jordan area. And he might be losing what is effectively second position at the moment. So let's see where he comes out. Got Bragshok coming past, Jordan coming past as well, but he obviously has the shorter line going through the exit, but yeah, he's dropped off behind Jordan. So that has not worked out for Baxter at all. And this proves that Callas is probably right where Simičić is going to come out.
If Simic puts in a decent couple of laps and times the pit stop exactly right, then Simic should have the overall lead once everything's cycled through.
And because of Baxter going quite slow, Burlak is now 6.5 seconds off Simic. Simic just played this so right, hasn't he? He is absolutely
He's going round again. 30 laps he's done on these tyres.
Yeah, when I did that 20 lap stint and I still had a couple of laps left, in reality I just knew these guys were going to go crazy. I'd love to see their tyre wear stats at the end of the race as Queekle comes in, and so does Robin Panzer. Panzer's on the mediums as well. Panzer started on the mediums and he's already come in ahead of his teammate who is on the softs. That is crazy. And where does Queekle come out? He's coming out behind Brakshock. He's coming out behind Baxter. What about Danny van der Neet? No, he's got ahead of Van Neet. So, yeah, he's caught up quite a lot there, actually, has Queekle. What a interesting race. As we guessed, it's mostly about the strategy here. And what was, as it often is, but especially here at Azure, it is so important to get your strategy right. And such is the way that third place Mitch Hoyer on those hard compound tyres, I think he's actually sitting in a pretty decent position at the moment. Because he's still about 10 seconds ahead of people who've already pitted. So I think Mitchy might be someone to look for later as Petter comes in.
Yeah, and Simic goes round again. Oh dear.
He's in a position now where he has such a gap at the front that he can play this really well, to be honest. He can go longer to a point where he's losing time because he's got time to give. So where's Burlak coming out? He's going to be behind. Is Dennis Jordan going to get him on pit exit? It's going to be very tight as they come up through Beau Rivage. They're going to be side by side as they come through the king of turn number 2, and I think Jordan's managed to get that. So Jordan, Brakshock and Callas have all got past Baxter and Burlak, which means Callas, despite his strategy disadvantage, is effectively in second place here.
And now Burlak's in a huge train of guys on older tyres.
Yeah, this has not worked out because Jordan's doing the same strategy. Brakshock, we think, is doing the same strategy potentially as well. So this could be 4th place for Petter as Simic goes round again. What a guy.
11.9 on 30 lap tyres.
He is crazy. Yeah, really, really good job that he is doing. As we expected, being the driver that he is. So we've now got this little train behind, who is that? Eros Mashuli in 6th place. Medium Compounds hasn't stopped yet.
Yeah, Simic got a 15.7 lead to his teammate Mitchy Hoyer. So Hoyer's done alright coming up through the field. He'll inherit the lead once Simic has come in. Hoyer has just under a second to Alex Siebel, who is also on the harder compound tyre. So those two will be going way deeper into the race and then probably put the softs on towards the end.
I'll tell you what.
Simic is going around again. Why not?
With how slow Eros is going, I think Yerne is going to come out ahead of Eros, which means he is going to absolutely walk away with this second stint if he gets the front of Eros, and I would assume that is what he's staying out to do at the moment, because he is 1.5 seconds quicker last lap than Eros Mashuli. So, as Eros comes into
he's coming
lane.
in.
So I think he was looking at Eros and seeing the gap ahead of him, as that gap has now been opened up for Birakov. But I think he's going to get out ahead of these guys. Oh, as Birakov hits the wall out of turn number 1.
That wasn't good.
And Sanakalis is now getting up to turn number 3, but unbelievably difficult to overtake there. We did see a couple of guys try it in the pro race, but it's very, very difficult indeed. And this strategy game, crazy how it goes and swings one way. There's one point where I thought Simičić would be the one coming out in traffic, but now, as he ends, wow, he's going for another lap.
Yeah, just drifting as well.
35 laps.
He's having fun. He's having fun out there.
35 laps on the softs.
If he puts mediums on now, why not?
He's probably going to go hard purely because it's a safer option and he doesn't need to risk anything. But to be honest, he probably could. If he can do 35 on softs, he can do 43 on mediums. As Alain Terzic, wow, Alan's pitting on hards before Simičić has on the softs. Crazy. And what's Alain doing? Oh, he missed his box. Alan missed his box, unfortunately, so he lost quite a few seconds there. As Kirill Birkov also comes into the pit lane. So let's have a look at the gaps. So Simičić has a gap of 19 seconds to Stephen Michaels and then 28 seconds to Callas. So he's going to come out into that gap. He's going to be not too far behind Steve, but that's still not going to be as bad as it is for the other drivers who were stuck behind Eros as he finally comes in. What a stint that is from Jani Simičić.
35 laps on soft tyres. And I bet they're not even that worn.
Yeah, I'd love to see the stats at the end of the race when we get the log file. But yeah, he is coming out, and Hoyer and Siebel have gone past. Where is Steve Michaels? He's got in front of Steve. That's crazy. Brakshock is crossing the line now. So Simičić has gained
a lot.
15 seconds on Petr Burlak. 15 seconds. Wow.
And he's only half a second behind Siebel. No, he's not. He's 2.9 seconds behind Siebel. Sorry, I read that wrong way around. But Siebel's half a second behind Hoyer. Right, got it. I need to learn to read.
No, it's because it just updated as he went through the Sector 1 split. But yeah, wow. Simičić just played a blinder there, hasn't he? He has done perfect strategy so far in this race. And getting ahead of Steve there is quite important as well, because that means he's got a couple of seconds to catch up to Siebel and Hoyer as well. So he's not really going to be held up too much. So yeah, I think it's safe to be said the Simičić is walking away with this one, which is crazy. But the real next thing to look at is who is going to get this second and third place. It's sort of opened up a little bit with the different strategies. Jordan has dropped off Brakshock a little bit. Burlak has dropped off Jordan a little bit. So now that those alternate strategy drivers have gone, it's starting to open up a little bit.
Hoyer's pulled away from Siebel though. Only a little bit, but he's pulled away. So probably expect Hoyer in with the next 5 or 6 laps. Yeah. Then again, if Burst have probably gone, no, you're going out there until lap 62.
Yeah, to be honest, if they can do 35 on softs, they can probably do the whole race distance on hards. But obviously, as we saw, Simičić saved a lot in that first 10-15 laps of the race. So you do have to go really, really careful. At the moment, yeah, Michi is going to drop quite a way behind. He's going to come in around the Panzer area, P16. Maybe Tom Sadley as well. That sort of area of the track. But yeah, he's probably going to go like another 10 or so laps, I would assume. So still plenty of time for the strategy to work itself out for the alternate strategy drivers. And Quico is looking down the inside of turn number 1, side by side.
That's a good move.
And he hasn't quite made the move stick just yet. This is Craig Baxter, but he's managed to get past him. And we don't often see him move down into turn number 1, because it is quite difficult to get the exit out of the final corner. But fair play, Quico managed to do that, just proving that overtaking is possible around the streets of Azure. So he is now up into effectively 6th position, I think that is. With the drivers who still need to make a pit stop. And yeah, just a nice, pretty clean move. Tiny bit of wheel banging, but nothing to really worry about on the apex.
Well, Baxter had the DRS open as well, so that's probably a qualifying boost overtake as well.
I would assume so, as Steve Michaels now comes in for another set of hard, so he's 2-stopping. Yeah, he did tell me before the race that he couldn't make the 1-stop work, so he is going to have to do a 2-stop, and yeah, not quite on the pace. Oh, I heard a crash. Who was that? Alan Terzic, exit of the swimming pool. Not not great. 2 races, 2 DNFs.
That's the engine gone pop as well.
And he hit the curb.
Oh,
Wow, got flown over the curb like the one and only Max Verstappen has done, I believe, twice in his F1 career so far. But yes, let's just have a quick run down through as we've gone over the halfway point in this race. So Michi Hoyer, Alex Seymour leading the way, but they still need to make a pit stop, having started on those hard compound tyres. Jone Simicic, he's made a mistake. Jone Simicic has made a mistake. He's 7 seconds off, and Callas is right behind him.
That doesn't happen.
Wow. Simicic is, 100% he's made a mistake. There's no way he's going slow enough to do that. And he's leading away from Callas, but we think Callas needs to make a second pit stop. Brackshock, 50-50, not 100% sure what he's doing. And then we got Jordan, Burlack and Queekle, and also even Craig Baxter, but they've dropped off quite a little bit. And I'm going to just see if we can maybe get a replay of what's happened to Simicic, because he's dropped off quite a way, but he probably hasn't gone off. He's probably just had a little moment somewhere.
Yeah, it looks like he's dropped quite a bit. Unless he's boffed a wall somewhere and just had to... He's trying to ease himself back into it.
It's interesting if he's made a mistake, because he rarely makes a mistake, anyway, but he definitely was further behind than that. So that is an interesting one. But, yep, something's obviously happened, and he's now having to defend from Sander Callas.
Slowing everybody up for Mitchie is what chat thinks right now.
Yeah, I can't see where he's lost time, but he was definitely only about 3 seconds off the lead. I've just had a look back on my replay, but that is a bit interesting. But either way, he's got Callas Rory on the back of him, as we are looking at Petter Burlack, who's now got Queekle right behind him. And we all know what Queekle is like. He's had a couple of little collisions, and interesting points that has been brought up. Maybe Callas is basically quicker, so that seems like that is all it was. That is just Simicic once again going quite slowly. So that seems to be all it is. So Simicic once again taking the first half of the stint to get up to pace. And it's interesting, he had such a big lead that he's let slip, but I guess that was the plan, to make sure he can try and defend this track position that he has. Also considering Callas is doing a 2-stop, he can push a little bit harder.
We'll see what happens now, because it looks like he's gone a little bit quicker in this opening sector. Oh, I didn't. It's what? Unless he's just saving the tyres again.
It's an interesting thing that you said earlier. I was just catching up, reading the chat, and some people are saying that he should hold up everyone, so that Hoyer can get higher up the.
What a move that was on replay.
Unfortunately, I missed that. I apologise, but yes, potentially team strategies could come into play for Burst as well. But yeah, overtakes are possible, as we saw just there.
Outside of Sandovo, that's one way to make a highlight reel. But there is a queue forming behind Simičić, Karas and Bragshock. Both wanting to have a sniff. Say you put one on Jurnej Simičić, that would... put one on Jurnej Simičić at Azure, that would be something you could hold on to for a very long time.
Vandeny and Sully come in for their the second stops, I should say. One would assume hard compound tyres, which they both do. So yeah, Somsudley's brought himself back into contention, but obviously overtaking is quite difficult, and that crash, the loss of front wing on the first lap really didn't help him there at all. Yeah, let's check out Simičić's laps again. Last lap, a 12.4, which is mediocre. It's not slow, but it's also not quick. It's just a nice and calm pace once again from Simičić.
Still dropping time to Siebel though. He's now 10.8 seconds behind. As they come through Raskas and Anthony Nogues again for the 43rd time. See what the gap is. It's 10.9, so it's stabilised now. So yeah, it might just be that Simičić was saving tyres, backing up people so that Hoyer can jump up for when he makes his stop. Who knows?
So I'll tell you what, who's looking good is Jordy's eyes. He's caught up to the back of Craig Baxter, and Craig was second and Jordy was 10th in qualifying. And with the way strategies worked, he's put himself in a really good position here to potentially get some more points. I believe he got 1 point in Imola in 10th place, or it might be in a 9th place, which would be 2 points. Apart from that, he hasn't really challenged too far. But I've been speaking to him quite a lot the last couple of weeks. He's done a lot of practice for this race, and it's certainly showing because he's a lot closer to their front guys here.
Simičić has dropped back a little bit more, but we'll wait and see how this pans out. We can't go, oh no, Simičić is going slowly, but it's probably all tactical from Burst right now, as Hoyer's still about 0.8 of a second ahead of Siebel, still yet to pit, with this being the 45th lap of 78.
It's interesting how slow he's going, considering how far he got the softs. And we know the hards could potentially do like twice the amount of laps as the softs. So the hards could probably do 70 laps at the conservation that he was doing. He doesn't need to do 70. He needs to do... it's 35, so he needs to do 43 laps on the set of tyres. So it should be nice and simple. But he's still going slowly, which is interesting. So maybe it is some sort of tactic to help Hoyer. Who knows? It could just be what he's doing to, because obviously the less you push, the less chance you have to make a mistake as well.
So Hoyer would be... Let me have a look. Hoyer would be like 14th if he came out? 13th, 14th?
Yeah, maybe a little bit higher. It depends. It's around like 19-20 seconds, so there's that group of cars who are in that sort of area at the moment. So that is obviously where he's going to be looking to come out. It's going to be quite difficult for Simičić to hold those guys up though, because he's going to have to slow up a lot, because there's some space to fill for a crocodile to form. So I think this is just Simičić. I'm not sure this is some team play, but for sure it might be some coincidence.
Meanwhile, this little snake that's formed with Briliac and co. Coming through the tunnel, most of them with the DRS open. That's how close they are. That's Briliac behind Dennis Jordan, who is in behind Brackshock, but there's some huge gap to them. Simičić loses another second. We've gone from Simičić goes round again to Simičić has lost another second.
Someone's out. Quico's out.
Oh no, that was yeah, that's bad.
Second place in the championship, your own Quico. I think he has hit the barrier on the exit of the swimming pool. Let's have a look. Coming through replay. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's a bit of that the wall that sticks out, and you really have to be careful. So that is Mrček and Quico, two big names in the league, are out of this race, and that's quite good for Petter Berlak, because Petter obviously scored no points last time in Portugal, so it's now role reversal this time. So if Petter can get even higher up than his 7th place currently, that'll be good for his chances of getting 2nd place in the championship.
We'd have to see how that affects the standings currently. We could look at that a little bit later on in the race once the bits starts to cycle through. The old live points standings. As Hoyer's started to pull away from Seabull as it so happens, so unless Seabull's tyres are starting to give it the ghost, Hoyer's pulling away.
Yeah, it's interesting when they're going to pit, because obviously the later they go, they will have less laps to overtake the car, because they're going to come out in this train, so they will have to overtake cars. So the later they go, the less laps they'll have to overtake, but then they could potentially take the soft tyres, which means they will have such a grip advantage that the overtaking should be easier. So that balance is what they've got to get right. And that is really the next thing for them to look out. But they're certainly gaining time on Simičić at least.
This whole Simičić holding people up, it looks like it's beginning to work as Dennis Jordan and that train is starting to form at the back. So it looks like it might be on.
Now we'll have to see how it sort of progresses. We still have 30 laps left in this Azure GP, the first one, as we've mentioned previously, since 2013, so it's been quite a while, and these drivers are certainly having a interesting strategic race. It's gone back and forth between who has the advantage and who has not so far, as we come towards the final third of the race. And it's difficult to say right now who exactly is going to come on top. One person that we still really need to look out for is Callas, as he definitely needs to make another pit stop. Janos Brackshock, he pit 10 laps earlier than Simičić, so maybe unsure what he's going to do. He went long enough that I would assume he's one stopping, but you never know. But this train is definitely catching up now to the back of these guys, so we'll have to see how that one works out. Although I think Simičić is starting to push now. He's the gap to Callas is getting ever bigger, 10th by 10th.
Although the gap to Seabull hasn't come down on that last pass, so excuse me. Yeah, it definitely looks like he's picked up the pace, doesn't it? And then he can start hunting down Seabull. And that can open the window for Michi to come in, get some new boots.
So that gap, so the gap to Yerne's gone up, but the gap to that sort of Paresis Panzer Michaels battle has stayed the same. So this is what I mean with Simičić. He's going to have to slow up like if he, I don't think he is, but if he was helping Hoyer in some way, he would have to slow up a lot for the Crocodile to all bunch up together. So as Hoyer pits now. So Alex Seabull continues, but where is Michi Hoyer going to come out? Because this is pretty crucial. He's going to have 28 laps to the end. Yeah, medium compound tyres. Not ideal, but it would still be an advantage. So let's see where he comes out in this massive crocodile that is being formed in the mid-pack. He's got Jordi's wires there as he comes out side by side with Jordi, and he's managed to get ahead. So we were just saying that Jordi was having a good race game behind Craig Baxter, but look at Michi Hoyer. He has jumped up a few positions there with that strategy, and he's now got a tyre compound advantage, but also a wear advantage, because these guys have been going for about 15-20 laps now.
The only thing is, can Hoyer pass on track instead of waiting for the pit stops to roll around again? Any other track, he'd sail by these guys, but unfortunately, being Azure, it's not easy, as we've seen in the other two races this afternoon. People trying to go around the outside of the chicane, the inside of the chicane, clobbering each other, sending each other into walls.
And this crocodile has all caught up to each other now. So, this is going to be a difficult one, because when the cars are all close together like this, it is even harder to make an overtake work. So, yeah, let's see how this one works out. But it is certainly looking quite interesting at the moment. As we said, Callas needs to make a pit stop. So once he pits and he releases Brackshock and everyone behind, that'll really be the point where... Well, okay, we're assuming Callas is going to pit. We don't know, but if he can make this work, that is a blinder of a strategy. But assuming he does, that is going to let Brackshock and everyone ahead really expand, and might open the door to overtaking a bit easier behind.
So Siebel gets a stomp on. He's looking to come out around the tail end of the top 10, so behind Pansar and Michaels. All being well, that is.
Well, if you look where Michi Hoyer was, he was obviously a second or so behind. So yeah, that's going to come out around that Jim Paris's battle, but where exactly he slots in is difficult to say, as he is still going. And if, like I said previously, if he stays out long enough to go to the softs, that will help him even more, but then he might lose a couple more track positions because of that. So that is what he's trying to do, as now Callas is dropping off the back of Sivicic. So, someone's hit the wall? No?
I don't think anybody's actually retired as a result of that. Oh, Mashuli's gone.
Turn 1. Turn number 1, Eros Mashuli. Let's have a look. Oh, don't tell me it's with his teammate.
Invisible bump?
Don't tell me. Hopefully it's not with his teammate. No, I think it's too far behind. Oh, no, it is. His sister teammate ran into the back of him and has punted him.
Did he though?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
I thought he locked the rear brakes. Unless he glitched or something.
He had
lag.
the tiniest... yeah, that was a client-side little just tiny lag. And it was only 100th of a second, but that was enough to take both HM Engineering Reds out of the car, out of the race, I should say. And that's not great, because they were very close with Edge, and Edge have 2 cars inside the points at the moment. So that third place in the Constructors' Championship is going to be blown open a little bit.
Hoyer and Spheres. I mean, Hoyer's still stuck in behind Baxter, though.
Yeah.
So this is going to hurt Burst in the long run.
Yeah, it's not ideal for Michi, but he's still made up track position, because he's got ahead of Paresis, Dwyers, and I think there was someone else. Oh yeah, Quickle, because Quickle DNF'd as well. So he has made up a few positions because of the strategy, so it's still win-win. even if he can't make any overtakes towards the end of the race. But there's still 25 laps, or 24 I should say, so there's still plenty of opportunity for them to make it. It just depends how much risk you want to take, and how much risk the other people that you're overtaking are trying to take as well. We're looking at the back of Dennis Jordan, 5th place at the moment for Evolution. This would be his best or equal best finish in the World Championship if he can stay there. He's dropped off a little bit from Brackshock, but actually because Callas still needs to make a pit stop, we think that could be another position for Dennis, which means by the time Alex Siebel pits, that could be a podium for Dennis actually, which would be 2 podiums in a row for Evolution Motorsports if he can make it to the end. So Dennis is looking pretty there in 5th position currently, and he seems to be coping pretty well with Bolak behind him. So yeah, there's a few drivers who are looking pretty good in this race. It just depends if someone wants to do something. Oh, Stephen Michaels hit the, I believe the Quakel
wall.
Yeah,
the wall of Quakels.
It was at least in the same part of the track, and that is a DNF sadly for the American driver there, who was having a decent race on the back of the pack there, but couldn't unfortunately get to the end. And I do hope that some of the drivers, I mean obviously it is a slight issue with that particular bit of the barrier, but I hope the drivers realise that they just need to stay away from that, and it should all be okay. So looking at the gap for Alex Siebel, he's actually managed to make up some time, and he might be coming out ahead of Michi Hoyer.
Let's have a look.
Would be very interesting because Michi lost around 19-ish
Yep, Siebel's
seconds. I'm going to say that Siebel might be side by side with Michi Hoyer coming out of the pit lane in a few seconds time. So let's have a look. Siebel also onto the medium compound tyres, and as Simoncic comes to retake the lead end of lap 56, let's see where Alex Siebel drops down to. Brackshock's gone. Oh my god, Dennis Jordan. No,
just in front of DJ, yeah.
Wow, what a strategy that is.
I just let him through.
Siebel's actually let Bolak through, so that is a bit of team orders there. That's actually quite interesting because Alex is on the better tyres, but it's also probably because they didn't want to. They'll probably configure an overtake in the other direction when it's safe to do so, but you don't want to be going side by side through turn 2 and 3 here at Azure. So that was a safe option for Siebel. So this could be 3rd and 4th for Evolution. What a strategy that is from Siebel. He's jumped so many people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe about 5 people with that strategy alone.
And he's jumped Michi as well.
Oh, sorry, I thought Callas was going to crash there. He was defending from Brackshock into Tabak, and I think he tapped the inside wall. So I think, looking at the train behind him, I think his tyres are done. I think Callas's tyres are done, as he now has almost 5 seconds to Jene Simoncic. Yeah, 5.2 as they cross the line. So Simoncic has opened up the taps, and he's getting that lead that he had before. And yeah, we've just got to see what happens now with Callas and what he's going to do.
We have crucially Alex Siebel jumped Michi Hoyer in all the pit stop madness. So it makes you think, should Michi have stayed out a bit longer? But Alex Siebel, Dennis Jordan, 4th and 5th, so another good round for Evolution. But I think now UNA would just pull away for the remainder of the race, you'd think.
Yeah, someone's just made a point in the chat that had Hoyer stayed out longer, he would have been where Siebel is. So was that a tiny mistake from the burst camp? Who knows? But they're obviously doing something right with Simoncic now having a 6-second lead to Callas. And Brackshot can't quite get close enough. Not close enough yet, anyway. So yeah, that is really the next major fight to look out for, because if Callas is going to pit again, okay, he's going to come out last. Sadly, is 13 seconds off the lead, which means he's only 6 seconds behind Callas. Such is the train that we've got for these 15 cars. They're just all in a massive line behind Callas. So if Callas pits, he's going to be last.
Yeah.
So at this point, he might as well try it. Because even if he gets overtaken by five or six of these guys, he might have the chance at points. But I think if he pits, it's going to be too difficult to overtake 5 drivers to get points.
Do you want to have a giggle?
What's that?
Look at the track map.
Yeah.
He's got urinate and then yes.
Yeah, obviously it doesn't help that Callas is holding everyone up, which is making it look even more extreme. But you are correct. That is Simoncic going through turn number 1 now. And every other car in this race is on the start-finish straight. What a crazy race. And just some interesting facts. Let's just have a look. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different teams in the top 10.
That's good for the constructors, isn't it?
Yeah. As we've seen a number of times this season, the variety that there has been in the World Championship is awesome. So many different teams. I mean, obviously a couple of sister teams, but in terms of the actual constructors in the Constructors' Championships, there is 8 different teams. So let's have a look at what's this replay. Oh, it's not replay, sorry. It's the drivers' standings. And wow. 47.
That's quite the gap.
47 points. What a guy Simoncic is. He's played the last 2 races, the first 3. Admittedly, he did get a race win, but he wasn't, flat out the best driver, arguably. But the last 2 races, he has just rinsed everyone. It's unbelievable how there is often these high downforce tracks as well that he comes out on top. So yeah, let's just have a look down. So Peter Burlak would be second on 58 points. And to be honest, the gaps behind are staying fairly close as well. Only 7 points to Quickel, 3 points to Hoyer, another 6 to Mojek. Siebel 1 point ahead of Dennis, which is why it's interesting that Alex let Dennis pass. Because they're fighting. Look, I mean, they don't necessarily have a number 1 driver. They're fighting there. And wow, Callas is so slow now. 11 seconds to Simoncic. And everyone is backing up so much. What was his last lap? A 13.6. Simoncic 11.4. 2.2 seconds.
Oh dear.
This is making... Okay, admittedly, the way it's worked out, Simoncic's lead is looking even more extreme than it is. But 5 seconds from 2nd to 15th. 5 seconds. Crazy. Oh, sorry, I can't count. 7
No, it's
seconds.
alright, I can't count either. Here comes Janos Brackshot on... nearly.
Almost.
Oh, bye-bye.
And that
was always going to happen.
And that is the taps have opened. The taps have opened, and we have 16 laps left of this race, and the battle for this podium is now completely on. Callas is gone. Everyone, I believe, got past him comfortably. So this is it. We know Simoncic by now. 14-second lead. Okay, Simoncic has probably won this race. I think we can all agree that. But 2nd and 3rd, who is going to get that? Sander Callas, let's have a look. He's obviously going to brake really hard to defend. Locks the rears. Boof. Into the wall. And now let's have a look at what Dennis Jordan can do. 3rd and 4th for Evolution at the moment. This would be a fantastic result if they could get double podium. But that means both drivers getting past Brackshot. And as I said about a minute ago, the taps have opened, and now Brackshot will push and see what sort of gap he can get to defend from the 2 Evos.
Oh, Mitchie!
Oh,
that's brave.
And he's
He's
managed
through,
to
though.
make it work on the final corner. And now Jordi Wise is coming around the outside as he did on a car about 20 laps ago. Craig Baxter's going to keep it down the inside. There's going to be contact there on the exit. Craig is going to slide and Precis is going to get past. And even Robin Panzer has got past him. So Craig, what's that? 4 places he lost. Yeah, I don't think he played that the absolute best. But let's get a replay with Michi Hoyer. Was he far enough alongside? Yeah, just about. He got his car there. Craig left him
used the rear axle to turn the car and then launched it.
Michi actually, fair play, Michi left him room on the exit of the final corner just as well. So that was pretty, well, okay, it wasn't clean, but it was just about fair between those drivers. And that's sometimes what you have to do here in Azure, which puts Michi Hoyer up into 6th place, which is an awesome result. And also Jordi Suarez in 7th place for Singularity. That would be Singularity's best result in the World Championship as well. So the tables have turned in the last few laps. It definitely has.
Well, that was it Jules Bianchi that did that a few years back? It's amazing how Michi didn't break the suspension on the car and have to spend the rest of the race with the steering wheel at an awkward angle. It's paid off for him, at least.
It definitely has, and that strategy as well, really good job. And can we just give a little shout out to Robin Panzer in 9th place. He has struggled a little bit this season, and he is looking to get a couple of points here, which is really good to see. Well, in fact, he hasn't scored a point so far this season. His best place is 11th at the moment, and Precis is now out of DRS, 2 seconds behind Jordi, and Panzer now going for a move down the inside, and he has... Precis had to cut the chicane, so he's going to have to make sure Robin has that position, which he does. And to be honest, Jim did the perfect thing there. He didn't try and force it around the second apex, but he still allowed Robin the overtake. What move that was from Robin, can we just point out as well?
I have to get a replay for that one. That looked pretty tasty.
So that is, I believe, 3 points for 8th place that Robin Panzer will be getting. And yeah, he's looking pretty good. Birkov engine.
Oh yeah.
Birkov.
A bit of debris on the track as well.
Danny Van Den Eek lost his front wheel. So 2 DNFs there in the final corner of the race. But first, let's have a look at Robin Panzer. Look at how good he is on the brakes here. Looks like there's a bit of boost as well. Got nicely alongside.
Wow, no lockup either. He left plenty of space.
He left Precis the room as well. But Precis decided to just avoid the anti-cut just to be extra safe. But even then, Robin left him the room. So that was a perfect overtake. So Danny Van Den Eek now. DNF from the race.
Did he hit? Oh, he hit, yeah.
That is such a shame. He hit one of the... I'm not sure which one actually was the one who crashed. But, yeah, he hit one of them indeed. So that is Birkov and Danny Van Den Eek out. I heard someone hitting the wall.
Heard more carnage, have you?
But they could have just been hitting the body parts that were left on the track, because it looks like everyone is... Oh no! Tom Savley lost his front wing. That's who it was.
Again.
3 front wings he's lost in 2 races. Yeah, not the season that Savley would have wanted. He came second in the Pro Championship last year, moved up to the World Championship, and it has, yeah, not been what he wanted, not been the results, or even just the races in general. He hasn't really been up there, apart from Imola, and he will have to come to the pit lane again. So let's now have a quick rundown, as quite a lot has happened there. So we've got 12 guys left in this race. Janis Simčić is leading the way by 15 seconds from Janos Brakšok, who's now pulling away a little bit from Dennis Jordan and Alex Siebel, who are looking good in those 2 evolutions. Peter Burlak lost out a bit on strategy and is down in 5th place from Michi Hoyer, who's gained a lot on strategy. Jordi Wise, 7th place for Singularity. That would be their best result. Robin Panzer would be getting his first points of the season in 8th. Jim Paresis doing a solid drive in 9th. Craig Baxter, unfortunately, missing out, having started on the front row of the grid. Then Thomas Vack in 11th and Tom Savin 12th. So unfortunately, we've had 8 DNFs. It was looking pretty good until the last sort of 10 laps or so, where we've seen 5 DNFs.
On board with Joni Simičić, who's probably feeling like the only car on track right now, as he's still got a huge lead. That the cars behind him still look like one singular train.
He was 0.6 a lap quicker than the podium place runners at the moment. So, yeah, what a drive this has been from the 2019 World Champion. And it is tracks like this, often high downforce tracks, where he just rinses everyone. There's no other word for it. He has done the strategy, he's had the pace, and he is making it work here in Azure with 10.5 laps to go.
This race has absolutely flown by. I mean, Simičić is just pulling away while at the same time not even trying. But Dennis Jordan, Alex Siebel, 3rd and 4th for Evolution. That's gonna be a decent little points haul. Makes you wonder if they'll swap positions back again later, but they'll probably have their reasons.
Yeah, that is an interesting one, because as I mentioned earlier, they're only 1 point apart in the championship. In terms of the constructors, it doesn't matter who gets the points, and Siebel is on the better tyres. But Siebel did get the podium last time out, so they obviously want to give Dennis the best opportunity to get one himself, and he is really on the back of Brackshock, so you can see why they did that. And it could be that Siebel struggled a bit in the first couple of races, so maybe he's still, despite that good race in Portugal last time, maybe he's still not quite fully comfortable, and he thinks that Dennis will be the one to get the better points in the championship later on in the race, as we now come on to the last 10 laps of the Azure GP here for Formula Sim Racing, supported by SimLab, 3D Wrap and IMB Raceware.
IMB Raceware have got a couple of their guys in chat joining in with all the races today, so thank you very much for joining us. And thanks for the sponsorship as well. Let's go and check them out.
Yeah, should we just give them Yerne's postal address?
Yeah. I'll give them mine as well.
Yeah, to get the prizes already, although I don't think it is quite sorted just yet, as we still have 5 races to go, and it has only been the last 2 races that Yerne has actually managed to get this lead in the championship. So I would assume, as Dennis Jordan got very close to Brackshock
all over
on
it
this,
now.
Yeah, on this one, which I would assume
exit,
that it's going to be pretty close as we head towards the next races, as the first race of the season was that little bit different. We had some tracks that maybe we wouldn't always go to, especially the last 4, Imola, Indianapolis, Portugal and Azure. Those 4 tracks we haven't been to for either 6 or 7 years, all 4 of those tracks, so they're a little bit quirky, a little bit different. The next 5 races, we have Silverstone, the Nürburgring, the new Zandvoort, then we have Matsusaka and Sao Paulo. So they're a bit more, apart from maybe Zandvoort, they're a bit more natural tracks that you would normally see overtakes and racing happen.
Zandvoort's a decent track. I like it.
Yeah, and we got the new layout. It wasn't really a layout. The new.
They just put some banking on it.
Yeah, the new construction of the corners, which will certainly be exciting. But that isn't coming till, I believe, the end of July when we get there. And just to go back to this race, Brackshock is now 20 seconds behind Simičić. 20.
What's the biggest gap in FSR history between first and second?
He just did a 1:09.5. A 1:09.5.
Shall we?
Wow.
Are you going to put some ballast on him for the next race? Success ballast.
Any track.
He's got to drag a mountain behind him.
Yeah, any track where you need a bit of like conservation and a bit of brain, let's put it that way, he always comes out on top. And that's not to put down the effort of any of these other drivers, because look how close they are. They're all doing a good job. It's just Simičić did the perfect strategy. Unbelievable.
It's Bono Quiz 2.0, isn't it?
I'm sure when we get to the next few races, it isn't going to be quite like this. Obviously, Azure is like this as well. And talking about purples, Tom Sadley, 1 minute off the lead on a brand new set of soft compound tyres. Is he going to beat Sibicic's purple as he comes across the line? Yes, he is, a 9.2, but he is 25 seconds off the points, so it is a little bit for nothing, but at least there's a bit of pride there with Sadley.
Well, David Carter from IMB Raceway has put 255 kg ballast confirmed for Yerney, and we've got to please the sponsors. So Silverstone, he's going to be dragging a lot of concrete around with him.
But the thing to mention as well is these are not bad drivers by any way.
No, they're not.
Jordan, especially Jordan, Siebel and Burlak, they are either VEC or FSR World Champions of recent years, right? So they are at the top level of rFactor 2, and all these other events that are going on, they're always there and they're always at the top in other series and leagues, so they are quick. But Sibicic in a Formula Sim Racing open wheeler is unbelievable. Remember, 2019 world champion, and he was the runner-up in 16, 17 and 18. So he's been at the front for 5 or 6 years now in open wheels.
Well, once you've unlocked that last little bit, away you go.
Amazing. And can't do anything but congratulate the man. But he still has 6 laps to complete.
Yeah, he's got 6 laps to complete, and we're just praising him. So, oh yeah, he's already won it.
And yeah, Jordan has dropped off a little bit from Brackshock, so I do wonder if he hasn't maybe burnt up his tyres a little bit. But Dennis is normally quite good on his tyres. However, he was one of the earlier drivers to make a pit stop. But yeah, he's looking still pretty good for a podium for Evolution. And yeah, sort of been a little bit status quo further back, but Panzar's dropped off the back of Yordi, and then Paresis is going even slower, holding up Craig Baxter for the final point, or final 2 points I should say, for 9th place. And there's a little battle there with Thomas Vak. And I want to check quickly, has Vak got points? Yeah, he's got 1 point in Malaysia, first race of the season.
Oh, bye-bye. Bye-bye, Janos. Dennis Jordan inherits second.
Just as I look away for 5 seconds.
I only just caught the end of it. He clipped the inside wall at the chicane, I think, and just spun himself round.
Yeah. I just went to check the standings, and it happens. Let's see what Brackshock does. Lap 73 of the race. Oh!
Donk. Turned in too early.
Oh, all of them jumping over the chicane. And I do hope, for instance, Geordie didn't get any sort of penalty, but Geordie's now coming on the back of Michi Hoy as he goes down the inside of turn number 1. And he managed to make that stick. So Geordie's was up into 5th position. And we now have a double Evolution podium. Where has Brackshock dropped down to 7th place? Wow. This has been a very intriguing race. Yerney is now leading by 27 seconds. Dennis Jordan and Alex Siebel are now on the podium as well. So let's look at Yordi's wires. He's going to duck it down the inside of Michi Hoyer into turn number 2. Nothing Michi could do, as Yordi had a really big overspeed there. And that is that. But the podium fight is not over yet, as Petar is sitting on the back of Alex Siebel. So this is, been a very intriguing race. It's going to open up the championship a lot, it has to be said, as we're coming onto the final 3 laps of this Azure GP. And Burlak is getting really close to Siebel now. And he's still got quite a few opportunities with the DRS, although he understeers there a little bit in the final corner.
Oh, Brackshock had a slide and a half coming out Raskas. I think he's overcooked his tyres now.
But he doesn't need to make this worse. He's still got 10 seconds for points. So as long as he is fairly safe, he will still get some points. And that is what you need to do, because in FSR, points mean prizes as the monetary distribution. So there's a €3,000 pool of money, and that's divided by the amount of points that each team gets. So points mean prizes, and every point matters. So if you can stay in, even if it's only for a few points, that is always something that you want to look forward to as we are on lap 75 of this race. And Alex Siebel is looking pretty good to defend from Berlak. Berlak's not getting too close.
This race has absolutely flown by. 12 runners left. Tom Satherley bringing up the rear, miles behind everybody else. Unfortunately, he's not had the best of races.
Yeah, he is just about close enough to get points if people do get penalties, though, which is, I assume, why he's still going. Well,
people could also crash out and blow their engines, so it's
exactly. So, what can Petter do? Can he get on the podium, or is he just going to have to sit there? He didn't make the best strategic calls today. It obviously is not easy. It's not easy at all to make the right strategic calls, and on this occasion it wasn't to be in terms of getting a second place, but he still might be able to get a podium if he can make something work. Alex's saving grace is that he's got Dennis in front of him for DRS, and we saw this. Trying to think what race it was. I think it was in Indianapolis, whereas the other way around, and Alex actually slowed down to give Dennis DRS to help him defend, and that is obviously allowed as such. Obviously is a little sneaky way to help your teammate, but that is why there are constructors. As we are on to the penultimate lap of the race, a 30-second lead for Jerne Simicic, and he is looking comfortable for that race victory. As we now got Robin Panzer all over the back of Janos Brakshock. So can he potentially get 7th place as well? So there's still a few questions to be asked in the final 2 laps here.
Who knows? Anything can happen. And what is it? Anything can happen, and it usually does, is the old Murray Walker quote. We've only got one car on the soft tyres as well, and that's Tom Satherley. So he's just driving around hoping, I think, at the minute. But it'd be interesting to go through the tape afterwards and see who's going to get penalties for what, as Robin Pansar's hunting down Janos Brakshock for an extra couple of points for burst.
Oh, and he's going to be
he's thinking about it. There we go. Quali boost, maybe. Oh, that's close. He's done it.
Oh, that was tight.
Great move.
He was very kind to Brakshock on that first apex, which meant the second apex was really, really tight, and he's got up to 7th place, which would be awesome to see for Robin Panzer. So let's have a look on the replay with that overhead cam. You see he leaves him plenty of space, but that makes that second apex really tight, and he's managed to make that work as we are now on to the final lap of the race. Simicic is already halfway around it as the other guys are coming up to end Sector 1. And what a race
32 seconds.
Yeah. What a race it's been for Jerne Simicic. Not only has his pace been unbelievable, but his tyre conservation, his strategic calls, everything went perfect. And Simicic is going to come across the line to take his 3rd victory of the season. A comfortable victory here in Azure for Jerne Simicic after 1 hour and 34 minutes. But the podium is still to be decided behind. But I think Petter Berlak is going to be just a little bit too far behind unless he wants to do a bold move into Raskas. But it looks like Evolution, in their first season in FSR, after getting only their first podium last time out in Portugal, are going to be getting a double podium finish here. So really good job from Alex and Dennis, both of them, to get on the podium there for Evo. And then Edge will get a nice 4th place with Petter. Jordi's Wise, 5th place for Singularity, their best position in Formula Sim racing. Michal, brilliant strategy for 6th. Robin Panzer making some overtakes there at the end to get 7th. Janos Brakshock, 8th. 9th place, Jim Priestis will hold on with those dead tyres. And Craig Baxter will pick up a point for Ground Effect. So that's 2 races in a row that Ground Effect have got into the points. So good job for them. Thomas Fack in 11th place, and Tom Satherley will come around the final corner to get a 12th position finish. Unfortunately, we had 8 DNFs in this race, but really that race was all about strategy, and the person to get it right was Jerne Simicic.
He made those tyres last an absolute age. But it all came round. He did what he had to do. Unfortunately, Mitchie couldn't get any further up. They probably pitted him at the wrong time. And they could have been where... I think it was Alex. It was where Alex Siebel was. So, unfortunate for them. They couldn't get Mitchie up any further. But still, they've got the win. They've got the 25 points. Next is Silverstone.
Yeah, Symmetry is going to have quite a decent lead in the championship. So that will be interesting to see how he reacts to that and how he maybe changes his mindset going to the next few races. But let's have a look. If I do quick maths, that is 43 points. He's leading the championship by now to Petter Burlak. Mitchie Hoyer jumps Queekle to get third place, but only 1 point ahead of Queekle, who's now into fourth. Siebel and Jordan joint points in 5th and 6th for Evolution Motorsport. Davin Mocek dropping down to 7th with that unfortunate contact with the wall. And then you can see it's really those 7 that are at the front, because there's a bit of a gap to Brackshot, Callas and Birkov. Jordis Wise jumps up to 11th in the standings with a good result. Danny Van Zeniet in 12th place. So we'll try and get a word with some of these podium drivers, but that was certainly a very interesting race, and a very strategic race, and it'll be interesting to see what they say and what they think, because it's also quite a tough circuit, and we do have them for an interview. So we'll just jump over to Discord and be with you in 2 seconds. So Yene, are you here?
Yes.
So congratulations! That is your 3rd win of the season, and you have a really good gap at the top of the standings. But how was that race for you? It looks like you were controlling the pace really well in that first stint, and that meant that you eventually made the best strategic choice, staying out that late. And it actually looked like a pretty easy race for you, but how was it?
I never expected softs to last remotely that long, maybe 25 laps, but I just saw them that they keep going, and I kept going. We knew that 2 stops was far quicker strategy, maybe even like 45 seconds during the race. So, but with Monaco, like in F1 races here at our the Azure circuit, we cannot overtake if we are stuck in the train. So yeah, it was just a matter of going really slow, be like slowest car on the track, and be quickest car on the track when it mattered.
And you were certainly quite slow in that first stint. Was that always your plan, or did you ever consider the 2-stop?
I was like 70% that I'm gonna do 2 stops, but again, like in F1, the pace here is usually 5 seconds at least off the actual pace in the first laps, and this is just the optimal. Just go slow and push when others speed and when others get stuck. So yeah, in the end it was straightforward, but before the race I did not expect this to happen.
Well, congratulations, and we will see you in a few weeks for Silverstone. But I believe you got a 43-point lead at the top of the standings. So good job today, congratulations, and we will see you next race.
Thank you.
So we will now jump to 2nd place man, Dennis Jordan. And are you there, Dennis?
Yes.
So well done today. You managed to get a double Evolution podium. Obviously, that helped with a couple of incidents ahead, but you still put yourself in a really good choice. And something that we were thinking at the towards the end of the race was then when Alex made his pit stop, he actually let you go. Was that for any particular reason, or was it just because he wanted to give you the best chance of the podium?
You would like to know, huh? No, I think it was quite obvious that, a couple of times we were just controlling the pack, trying to get Alex up the front. So Yeah, I was just trying to get him behind me. That's why we parked it like that.
Well, so was that really your whole race, was just getting the strategy right? Because you were sitting, I mean, to be honest, you did a really good strategy in general, getting ahead of Petar, for instance. So was that just really your whole race day, was just getting the strategy perfect?
Yeah, I think that's the only thing you can do in Monaco, apart from, not driving into the wall. You just need to make the calls right, and I think we did that today. Honestly, I think no one really knew what was gonna happen, one stop or two stop. Everyone was kind of trying to go to one stop, so you just have to react on, the open gaps and stuff that you see mid race, and I think we did a good job at it.
Yeah, you certainly did do a good job, as you got a double podium. So we'll say hi to Alex, who gets a podium for the second race in a row. So good job to you, and really good considering you did that alternate strategy. And you actually did a really good job, because Mitchie pit about 2 or 3 laps before you, and obviously he ended up behind you. So that was a really good strategy. But how was your race? Because you were quite sort of lonely at the front there for quite a while.
Yeah, it was quite bad in the qualifying because I think I never raged that much after my last attempt, because I think I would have gotten top 5, but then the visible front wing was on the track and fucked me up. But yeah, then was just like taking on the hards and see what the race, how the race will evolve, because even the fastest guys are just as fast as the slowest car in front. And I think after all the guys on mediums or softs had pitted, I think Yane started first to be really slow. I could increase the gap. I think. Then I thought, well, he might do it for Michi, because Michi was in front. Then I saw, okay, as long as I can be faster than him, then stay out. And once he picks up the pace, I need to go in. And yeah, in the end, it was quite close. I think Dennis also managed it amazingly well. So I could just rejoin behind him or next to him, side by side. So all in all, like perfect. Well, we made full use of the characteristics of Monaco. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, you certainly did. And well, really, question for both of you: do you think this is really the time that Evolution is going to step up and be a front-running team in FSR? Because you struggled a little bit in the first couple of races. You weren't quite there in terms of winning the race. But do you think now that you enter the second half of the season that you can fight a bit more regularly at the front?
Yes, I think so. I mean, put Yane aside, and then yes. Yeah, congrats to Yane as well. Amazing pace as always. But yeah, I think in general, the field is so tight that it's just about perfect strategy, perfect tire management, and a little bit of luck as well, and then we can be behind Yane.
Yeah, well, you certainly did a good job today. But I think that just about wraps up the proceedings here at Azure's. Great to get back to this circuit for the first time in 7 years. And we'll give a thanks to our sponsors, SimLab, 3D Wrap, and IMB Racewear. But we will be for round 6 in 2 weeks' time, 31st of May. British Grand Prix Silverstone, always an amazing event, such a fast track, and plenty of overtaking opportunities as well. But until then, 2 weeks' time in Silverstone, we will see you later.